Okay, so moving on. Now, Jez, you picked this up probably a couple of months back now. I'm not sure if you've told a story on here, but I'm sure you'll lead with that anyway. It's led you into doing an actual piece on this month's show about what you purchased. So over to you, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Probably the most random way to frame this is for a while, Jules and I were watching a TV show called Parks and Recreation, an American sort of sitcom. And in there's a couple who've got a treat yourself day where you just have one special day annually where they just call it treat yourself, and they go out and they just spend like kings and have a good time. Now, we've taken that little sort of term at home, and treat yourself means, might actually buy a coffee whilst I'm in town, or, might go nuts and treat myself to a new shirt or something or other. Anyway, that's treat yourself day. It just so happened to be that I was in Reading getting the car serviced, and I said to the wife when I went in, I feel like today is going to be treat yourself day. And I happened to be walking along, and I thought to myself, whilst I'm here, I'll go and check out the little vintage shop. So it's a classic retro shop, which I think we mentioned before, because it was the same shop I went to where I found something which would suit Craig down to the ground, and Craig ended up purchasing something there. Anyway, as I got there, I got to the front, and I saw something which was very interesting and very unusual, and it was an Italian 4-pack vintage line, 3 Trilogo carded figures and a Kenner, but more on that shortly. But it was a rare treat for sure. And I saw this thing in the window, and first of all I was just like, wow, now I know that this is special, and we will come on to that a little bit more in a minute. But then I went through this whole thing of, I'd love to have that in my collection, but not really got a great deal of disposable income. Anyway, I went in to chat to the owner, and he knew exactly what he had. I mean, he said that he had that in his shop for about 4.5 months, but this was in May. This is when I went there, May the 16th it was. And so he had it just as the country was still going in and out of lockdowns, and the shop was hardly open because, let's face it, a little retro shop is hardly one of those urgent must-have open stores. So he hadn't actually had a great deal of business, but he had some interest in it. Now, he had people who were trying to give him lowball offers, and some people who actually wanted him to split up this thing, because what I have here is the 4-packs where it came out, it sort of drawdown and the sort of, not the demise, but the sort of time when Star Wars was at a real sort of low point. It passed, several years had passed, and people were then getting into other things. There was a significant amount of overstock within Europe, and you look at ways of how they dealt with that. Woolworths 8-packs, for example, strip them off the cars, chuck them in an 8-pack, boom, move them on. Now, what they had here, these were carded in the UK and sent off, so Italian ones and German ones as well. So 4 figures. Now, you might say gathered randomly, but actually there are quite a few examples of where the same combination in the same order has been used. So there was some sort of method to the madness, but we'll come on to a little bit of that more as well. So you gather together 4 cards overlapping each other, so from left to right you can just see bubble, 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 and then a carded figure, and then over the top of that, almost taken up the entire card down to the bubble, is a big Star Wars Return of the Jedi logoed piece of cardboard, either side, with either German writing on one side or Italian English on the other, with a big starburst sign on the right hand side, which in majority of cases it was intended for people to put a price sticker on, but the majority of them don't have a price sticker or a handwritten or anything like that. One of the sort of schools of thought on that is that these didn't even reach retail stores, and in a lot of cases didn't actually even leave the UK after Palatoy had apparently put these together. It's considered that actually a great deal of these came to light. When I say a great deal, these are still fairly rare and hard to find, but the majority actually came to light when they were sold by sort of traders and dealers at the end of the 80s. It is something which is quite special. It takes up a little bit of space, and it's one of those things where it's fairly eye-catching with the figures there with the big starburst. And you look at these, if you were to look at now at Italian 4-pack, you would probably find one on eBay at around about £4,000. You wouldn't find any German ones on eBay, but there are some on certain stalls. So I think Dallas Vintage Toys. I've seen evidence of them at Brian's Toys, etc. So they've made it over to America. They have been graded by the UKG and both AFA as well. But there have been some issues with these. Now, there is evidence where people have actually swapped out some of the carded figures. And why might you do that? Well, this leads me on to the fact that there are a couple of the carded figures amongst these collections which are pretty hard to find. And people will look at it and go, right, well, for example, my one comes with a particular Emperor's Royal Guard. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll just go over to Grant now, because there's something kind of different about this particular Emperor's Royal Guard, which has really got some people in a spin, and it's quite a popular one for people. Grant, tri-logo figures, buddy. There are some where, they're 10 a penny, and there are some mega hard to find ones. Now, I've got an Emperor's Royal Guard. Where would you say it sits in this scheme of things?
Yeah, thanks, Jez. I went through this earlier and put like a little list together, but I think we have to preface this with what we're talking about is we're talking about your standard common tri-logo pally toy. Just a fun list, not going into the variations or the details or anything, because I don't think that exists. So if we're thinking of just a basic sort of pally toy tri-logo list, just tri-logo, no country of origin or stickers or anything like that, or variations like 70A, B, C, all that kind of stuff. If we're just talking, it's a tri-logo. And what are the top 10 rarest? I got Emperor's Royal Guard, which is my favourite one, by the way. I've got that at number 7.
Number 7, right? Yeah, I knew it was a hard to find, and it is a beautiful looking card. Yeah, I can probably think of 4 or 5 which I thought would have been higher. I thought Emperor's Royal Guard was about 5 or 6, so 7 doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, how rare is rare then? So what are we talking about? What's harder to find than the Emperor's Royal Guard?
Right, so I've got 6 above it. Okay, this is including miscards or, like I said, wacky foreign variations or anything. I've got the General Madine, which I think is a consensus as number 1, and I think the next 4 pretty much people will have the same figures, maybe in a different order. I put the Boba Fett next.
I was going to say, can I have a guess?
Go for it.
I mean, I think we all heard you just about to say Cloud Car pilot. We'll come on to that. So that's those 3. Jawa, Leah Hoth, Luke Stormtrooper.
So the Jawa got a 4. The Luke Stormtrooper I've got a 10.
Sorry, I meant Luke Hoth, not Stormtrooper. I don't know why I said Stormtrooper.
Got Luke Hoth at number 6.
Right.
And I cross-referenced this with our friend Ed Grant. He said, it looks pretty much the same. And he also highlighted that actually some of the last 17 now are driving up prices because the loose ones are going for so much money because of the blasters. So I did have Luke Stormtrooper in the top 10 when we did this on another podcast 10 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah. No, I don't know why I said Stormtrooper. I meant Hoth. I was visualising Hoth but said Stormtrooper for some reason. But there we go. So there a list of hard to find ones, which is really strange, isn't it? Because as we've said, you look at it and you think, right, General Madine, peg warmer on a Kenner or often Palatoy, number 1 hardest to find on a tri-logo. So that's why we find sometimes on these 4-packs that what you'll find is people have been saying, right, okay, that one's got a tri-logo Emperor's Royal Guard. What I'm going to do is open up the header, remove the Emperor's Royal Guard and replace it with a Kenner one. And therefore they've then got a tri-logo Emperor's Royal Guard, valued it easily now £1,000, and replaced it aesthetically to the sort of not so keen eye. It looks exactly the same. It's just only you can really tell because of the position there that it's got a Kenner bubble rather than a tri-logo bubble. So yes, we've seen that. There is evidence of that. There is evidence of other carded figures being swapped out, and we've even seen it. We've seen these things get graded where they've been graded. However, there is some quite clear swapping going on. I mean, one of the things here is this header is actually glued down onto the carded figures itself. So my one, the one which I ended up purchasing from this fantastic store, which is called Just Imagine Memorabilia in Reading, it was glued down, but the glue has given up the ghost. You can see now that the glue has dried off, so the header card can completely lift away. So I can now move around these carded figures. But what you've got on the carded figures is a telltale glue signs all the way across. And you often see that, or when I say you often see that, you sometimes see that in collecting circles, that someone might be selling, let's say, for example, a last 17 Ewok, or more likely an Emperor's Royal Guard tri-logo, and you might have telltale indications running across, say, the left-hand side of that card just above the bubble where it would have been glued to the original header. So these ones have been swapped out. I've even seen a graded example where the header card is ran the wrong way. So you've actually got the English over the figures and the foreign language, the Italian, on the rear. But it's not the Emperor's Royal Guard, which is the only one which is swapped out. Grant's already mentioned that one of the most popular tri-logos is the Cloud Car Pilot. Now, Stu, that's not your standard tri-logo. In fact, you're a fan of the hybrid, aren't you? So can you just give us a little bit of info on that hybrid tri-logos, mate?
Yeah, so the hybrid tri-logos are the front of the card is the 65 back Palatoy Return of the Jedi card, and the back of it is the traditional tri-logo card back. Actually, do you know what? When you go through the forums as to why this is, a lot of people predict that these were kind of like a gateway between Return of the Jedi and the Trilogo card, so early. But actually, Joe O'Brien wrote quite an interesting article over on trilogo.info where he says it's probably more likely that... So there's 6 figures on the hybrid. You've got Greedo, Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, Cloud Car Pilot, and both Bespin guards. And there's 4 figures which never appeared on Trilogos, which is your Forlom, Walrus Man, Power Droid, and the Death Squad Commander. But he seems to think that there was a demand for the 6 figures that you see on there, and they were put together after the main run of Trilogos. So I don't know which way round that is actually the case, but bit of a butcher's job. But they're very, very nice. I mean, I've had a Greedo, Hammerhead, and Snaggletooth. Still got the Greedo, but on display they just look like the 65 back Palatoy.
How did it look online on this? Is it always the Trilogo Emperor's Royal Guard that's in there? Because I'm looking at one exactly like yours now, Jez, and it looks like it's got a Trilogo squid head. Have you got that one?
I do have a Trilogo squid head, yeah. Kenner Emperor's Royal Guard, and then a Kenner B-Wing. Yeah. So this is one, and in fact, I've seen one of these for sale on Make Me an Offer after I had shown mine online, to which everyone's like, wow, Emperor's Royal Guard, that's brilliant. And I have seen these, and who's to say? And it's very difficult to tell, because you could easily lift these up with glue, obviously swap the cards over and re-glue them down. And we know that these grading companies have made errors in the past. And who's to say, that there are known quantities here, and there are known examples and ones where it's like, yes, that is, we've seen it time and time again, an Emperor's Royal Guard one. So these were done in the UK and done with Palatoy. They were done with a mixture of Trilogos. In fact, there are a couple of examples of pure Trilogo. And then there are other examples of where this individual B-Wing has been swapped out for a Kenner. And there are others where it's also been, you've had Kenner, Palatoy and Trilogo all together. But as I said, also, we have seen them for sale where they've had that telltale glue on, where they quite clearly have been swapped out or removed from the full back in the first place. You look at it and you speak to people and they're like, yeah, that one's obviously been added in there. So never say never, but I think it's extremely suspicious, the fact that there are known examples where it's the ERG in this exact order, and then that Trilogo ERG, funny old things, all of a sudden a Kenner.
The thing is, I've seen the headers for sale as well.
Yeah.
Just the headers, unused headers. It's almost impossible to say. At the end of the day, it was people grabbing stock and putting headers on them and shipping them off. So you can't say for sure that, overstocked American Kenner Emperor's Royal Guards weren't used when they run out of, Trilogos.
It's a possibility. But when the glue gives up on these headers, then the actual value of the 4-pack is pretty much the value of the sort of, the separate constituent parts, isn't it, really? It looks great displayed. I'm waiting for Christian to get a acrylic case for these so I can put it in together. It's not something which I can grade. However, I look at it and I can see that this header is brilliant. The actual hanger tab on it is perfect. Going across the figure on the right hand side, it's a beta card. It's the ATST driver. The card is damaged. It's got a little bit of water damage at the bottom, and the bubble looks like it's actually seen some heat. The Kenner B-Wing pilot, the only sort of damage on that is I can see the glue, where the glue goes across, the very thin glue where the glue goes across where the header card would have been. Actually, the Emperor's Royal Guard is fantastic. It's really, really good. A lovely full-on shaped bubble. And it's the squid head, which has probably got the worst. There's a minor crack at the bottom of the squid head. But all together. When I got this, or when I first saw it in the shop, I was asking the guy questions, and he was saying, he knew what he wanted, and he said that people had offered him low numbers, people had asked him just to sell the header. People wanted him to split it up, and in fact people were offering a few £100 just for the header card, but he wanted to keep it together. He wanted it to go to a collector. He knew that he was getting sort of asked by dealers who he knew. I mean, this is a guy who's done the circuit himself and does go to various different selling areas. He's been down all over the place, and he's done the collectomanias, and he knows the circuit. So he knows when a dealer is trying to buy it versus he wanted it to stay with someone who was going to keep it. And he told me, how much he was initially looking for. He said there had been some interest. And I saw this and I just thought, no, it is wonderful. It's fantastic. And I was instantly drawn to it. So that's a great thing about our community is, we're so well connected, and we speak to each other, we help each other out. So I shared the photographs with you guys, but I also contacted Christian, who I know has 4-packs and is actually, when you Google 4-packs and the various forums come up, Christian is often on there, or his pictures are there of the 4-packs which he has. So he is an absolute sort of font of knowledge. I was hoping to get Christian on, but he's just been absolutely Harry maxed out with Echo. But I'm just going back to the messages which we were sending to each other back on. Yeah, in fact, it wasn't the 16th, it was the 14th of May. I said I've seen this in a collecting shop near me. It's a beta for sure, but the mocks are legit. He comes back saying, hi, Des. It's a really nice 4-pack, genuine as well for sure. It's in pieces, basically, so it's the sum of the parts. Obviously, the header card and the tri-logo ERG, the tasty bits. The ERG is worth about 1,000 with an uncracked bubble on the header card. If it's not torn through the hanger, it's going to be about 300 to 400. And then with everything else with that. But it's a beautiful family. Keep it together. What's the asking price? We were going back and forth. I was using this as sort of ammunition to sort of try and haggle him down a little bit. But a big thing is I didn't have that disposable income. So it was like, what do I do? I was contacting you guys, and it was a lovely sort of, this is the way it was done, because you guys were absolutely right. I was considering, right, okay, I've got a tri-logo yak face. I might be able to sell that, or I might be able to sell this. And the way in which I thought I could get this into my collection was by selling a big ticket item. And Grant, what was your advice with regards to that? I was saying to you, this is how I can do it, but you were given, actually, I thought that you would be very much do it, but you gave me some quite strong advice, which I'm really, really grateful for.
Yeah, let's have a look. I think you offered up some really nice pieces, carded yak faces, some proof cards and stuff like that. And I thought the better idea was to hold on to those items, because first of all, they were quite iconic items. They were semi-big ticket items. And I thought perhaps instead of selling one thing, just get some sort of more common Return of the Jedi kind of figures that you might be able to pick up. But say you would have found them at Echo and maybe sell 3-4 of those, so you can easily get them back again and do it that way instead.
Yeah, so I ended up going back second day, because I kept on wanting to look at it. And the Emperor's Royal Guard, not only is it a hard to find tri-logo, maybe all the big hitting hard to find tri-logos do have that aesthetic appeal, because you just don't see them that often. But I think you're hard pressed to find a card which is more stunning than the Emperor's Royal Guard on a tri-logo. I think it's outstanding. And I was very, very tempted. So yeah, ultimately I heeded your advice, and I didn't get it, because you said to me, listen, it's not going to be one of your centerpieces. It's not going to be one of those iconic things from the UK. So you might end up regretting it. And the way in which I've actually brought this into my collection now is far from regret. I'm so glad that we had that conversation. I'm so glad I had the conversation with Christian, and that's what I love about our community, because I did end up selling 3 different carded figures, which ended up allowing me to build up a small sort of little war chest, which I was then able to add to. And so I thought, right, I've cleared out 3 carded figures. I'm bringing in 4. I paid a little bit extra to sort of bridge the gap, and that's how it's done. And I've put it in there, and I've put it in my case. Or in my cabinet, and I think it's now one of my favorite pieces, and I didn't see that coming. I knew it was going to be great, and I think it wouldn't have been one of my favorite pieces if I had gone with my initial sort of gut instinct of maybe I'll swap out this proof card which I've had for ages, or maybe I'll swap out this, and I was I was just so over the moon with the way it's being done. I really wanted to show off the Emperor's Royal Guard on the Tri Logos, and because these figures are all carded figures are all loose, I was able to do that, and I put the Emperor's Royal Guard at the end. But then actually after about 12 hours or so, I don't even think it was as long as a day, I just decided to put it back in the original order. The order which is known about, the order which is verified, the order which is online. So here I have it. I have it in my collection. It's a beta one, but it's completely legit. It shows a story, and I'm so pleased with it that I was able to sort of upscale my collection without having to actually spend a great deal of money. I'm just pleased as punch. I really am. So I'm just grateful for, this shop. He was pleased to sell it to me. Obviously, he took a pretty penny that day, not long after lockdown. So obviously he probably went home and had a nice cigar or something or other. But I've got that in my collection, and it's pride of place. So I'm grateful for you guys for giving me the sort of, when I say support and advice, and Stu bought 2 of the figures, which I had to sell. And Christian. So it's an Italian 4-pack. They don't come up for sale that often, and when they do, they're often graded, and they're often several £1,000s. So I love it.
So do you want some good news?
Go on.
Okay, if we go through the 4-packs.
Yeah.
So you've got the 4-pack. It's Tebow, Emperor, Cloud Car Pilot. So obviously the rare hybrid.
Yeah.
And Lumat, all tri-logo. You've got Vader, Leia Hoth, Paplo, and the Imperial Commander. Paplo's I believe it looks like it's a Kenner. The rest are tri-logo.
Yeah, I've seen that variation as all tri-logo as well.
That's all tri-logo, okay.
Yeah. So
Squid Head, Emperor's Royal Guard, B-Wing Pilot, ATSD. The same one as yours, except with a Kenner Emperor's Royal Guard. And then 4 tri-logos, Biker Scout, Lobot, Lando Calrissian, and the Rebel Commander. They're all pretty much tri-logos there. The Emperor's Royal Guard is a Kenner. Obviously, it's got the Cloud Car Pilot in there. For sale, $12,500 sold.
Yeah.
Say if we go chop that into quarters, what you're looking at there is $3,100 each. And that's with obviously the tri-logo Cloud Car Pilot. They're not going to be equal, are they? But that's still a hefty price, that is, and they've sold that.
To be fair, Jez's set. I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find the Emperor's Royal Guard for that money on its own as a carded figure.
I know. I mean, I've seen it, as I said, on the Make Me an Offer. People have been trying to put them out there, and it's just that whole, you look at the back and you can see that it's not a tri-logo. Look at the front, you can, again, you can see that it's not a tri-logo. On that Dallas Vintage Toys, it's listed, it's written down as a tri-logo Italian Collector's 4-pack. That's what they've got written down. But then, when you zoom in and look at it, and you look at the reverse, you can see that top one they're all tri-logos, but then that one has got 2 swapped out. And when you look at that one, the angle which the Emperor's Royal Guard is at from the reverse, it does look like it's been pushed in there.
Here's another one. Okay, so the first one I just said was Tebow, Emperor, the one with the Cloud Car Pilot, and Lumat. So you got the 3 tri-logos in there.
Yep.
Just pulled up an image of an AFA graded one for $3,000 which was sold at Brian Toys. Lumat, Emperor, Tebow tri-logo, no Cloud Car Pilot, but a Kenner C-3PO. And that's been graded.
Yeah, I mean, it says that there are, and the grades, cards, 50. So I would say that some of these have been graded, and that these graded companies aren't infallible. They make mistakes here. There is the video which I saw of Dallas Vintage Toys when they were doing a unboxing of stuff which had just come back from the graders, and the header card was round the wrong way. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't accidentally glued on round the wrong way, but it's just there is quite clear evidence that some of these grading companies aren't doing the best of jobs. But I've seen that one which is now shown as out of stock, $3,000. But you look on eBay and there's one on eBay now for $4,000.
And that's with the tri-logo Cloud Car Pilot.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. If you get that one, you're halfway there.
I just think that it's just something a little bit different. It just shows how things were at the end, that they're putting them off. I'm just pleased as punch. It's one of those things where, as I said at the beginning, it was a treat yourself day, and I had no idea that I would end up. Can you imagine the phone call? I'm on the phone to Jules. Hey, babe, I know we said it was a treat yourself day. She's like, yeah, treat yourself. And I then had to go through the, I really want to, but there's the potential here of something which I really, really want. but it's twice as much as I've ever spent on a Star Wars thing. So yeah. That was a challenge, but it's one of those things that we all say. Those chaps who or collectors who have a significant other, it's an investment. It's an investment. That's what it is. But I love it. I'm so pleased I have it.
Good on you, Jez.
But it was just nice reading a little bit about that. There's a lot of info, and I've got to give a shout out, actually. You mentioned his name earlier on, but the best information for this is on trilogo.info, because I'm sure you'll agree that Joe, who's put a lot of work into that, has got all the details on the hybrids, on the carded figures, and in fact on the 4-packs. So it's a great resource, actually.